9440.
4405.
944405.
All right, we are back for another edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted, where you can help us make Calhoun County a better and safer place by helping us lock up the bad guys. I'm Chris Wright, along with Calhoun County Sheriff Matthew Wade. Good to see you, Sheriff.
Always good to be on the show, Chris. I appreciate it.
Even today, after this long week, most of us had a long Labor Day weekend where we went out, on the boat or grilling.
Had a long, fun Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. Whereas you and your crew were out there trying to find some escapees.
Yes.
Successfully.
Successfully. Rather not have them, but they called me Sunday, and about 11 p.m. Sunday, we had 3 inmates that took a bunk in the medical section and hit the door just 3 times, and it defeated that door. And that was an exterior door. They went out, climbed 2 pieces of fence, they had razor wire on the top, and got out. Now, we got them all back in custody within 12 hours. Crew come in, we all come into work, and I woke up Sunday to go to church and didn't go to bed until 2 p.m. yesterday afternoon, or Monday afternoon. And, while we hate it, this is something that it wasn't an employee error. This wasn't human error. This just happened to be 3 people who wanted out of jail who were able to successfully defeat a locking mechanism on a door.
There's no completely invincible jail out there, and certainly not one that's been around as long as the Calhoun County Jail has been. So there are going to be some flaws in there. At least now they're back in custody. You know what the flaw is, and you're able to address it.
This door has been an exterior door, and where these inmates have been staying there have been there for 32 years, and never has that door ever been able to be defeated. So it took 32 years for them to figure that out. Now we're looking at some ways to ensure that doesn't happen again. I feel like I've had a little bit of a cloud around me for the past 2 months or so. We're doing our best to fix that. As I would say in the fishing world, if you go in a fishing tournament, can't catch a fish, you got the stink on you. So we're trying to get the stink off of us and get some of these problems and issues fixed.
Yeah. How bad a shape were these guys in when you caught them? Because they went through 2 sets of razor wire after that door.
They did. One of them had a broke ankle, and all 3 of them were cut up pretty good. Had to go to the hospital and get cut up. So none of them left the downtown Anniston area. They were all found within 2 blocks of the sheriff's office. So it just took us finding them. It was an opportunistic event that they did. I'm really thankful for the people that worked for me. They all come in, worked hard, none of them griped, and it was a team effort. And we have a good team down there, and it's just a matter of fixing some of these issues. Every jail, every sheriff's office, we deal in confrontation, we deal with people. And just because you're in jail doesn't mean you're not intelligent. It means you make bad decisions, but it doesn't mean that you're stupid. A lot of people mix up the two. They say, well, you're stupid because you're in jail. No, there's a lot of very intelligent people in jail, and they just don't make good decisions, and these 3 didn't make a good decision.
All right, well, we've caught those 3. We need to find some more folks that we need the public's help with, and they have helped us with a few here this week.
6 arrests, all because somebody helped. 4,255 people arrested because of this show, and we'll do our best to make sure we keep them where they need to be.
All right, we'll have the first half of this week's lineup coming up in just a few moments here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up in our lineup this week, Carlos Carrion. Mr. Carrion, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And take a look at Wanda Moore. Miss Moore, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for a probation violation on possession of a controlled substance. And this is Candace Rogers. Miss Rogers, last known to be living in Lincoln. She's wanted for non-payment of child support and failure to appear for child support, the face of a deadbeat mom. And take a look at Jeffrey Rogers. Mr. Rogers, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of marijuana second. And we'd like you to take a look at Sebastian Ledoux. Mr. Ledoux, last known to be living in Piedmont. He's wanted for failure to appear on illegal possession of prescription drugs. And this is James Preston. Mr. Preston, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to pay on giving false name to law enforcement. And last up for the first half of our lineup, Dennis Williams. Mr. Williams, last known to be living in Oxford, he's wanted for failure to appear on assault second. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show.
We'll have some more bad guys for you here in just a few minutes. See if you can help us find any of them. And later on, we'll have some property crimes that we need some information on. But right now, we want to talk about something really good that's new at the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office that, Sheriff, I know you're very proud of, and that's the chaplaincy program.
It is, you know, and I want to make sure we've had the jail chaplain, the jail ministry program for a long time, and but we just hadn't had that on the employee side, and all that our people deal with day in and day out. It's been on my heart for a couple of years, and this TV show is actually how it happened.
Really?
I've been wanting it for several years, and Pastor Word Alive come in here a couple of months ago for another event. It was a guest on our show, and while we were talking in between taping, I said, you know, this is my heart, what I want to do. He goes, yeah, we can do that.
I remember you having that conversation.
And out of that, it made it happen, you know, and you got to love people who say, yeah, we'll do that. And I told him, I said, you know, we're so busy, we can't minister to ourselves. He goes, absolutely. And so, Matt Hobson. So I was very appreciative.
Thanks for coming in, Matt. Tell us what you're doing.
Well, Word Alive, I'm the director of Project 58, which is our outreach ministry at the church, and it focuses on 3 areas. We provide food for the hungry, we provide clean water around the world, and we enact social justice. And we're always looking for a local expression of what that social justice looks like. So that ministry was birthed, like you were saying, by Kent Maddox and Beverly Maddox, out of the chapter in Isaiah 58. And it says, if you read it in the Message, it says, if you do those things, if you fast, this is the kind of fast I'm asking for, taking care of the widows and the orphans and those kind of things. It says, if you could do that, you'll be known as repairers of the breach, those that can make the communities livable again. And it says you'll actually be known as those that can fix anything. And so we've taken our outreach part of our church, and that's what we really want to be known as, those, like you're saying, that could fix anything. So if you say, hey, we really need somebody to do this, if it's within our power, we're going to try to do it. And so that's how we got involved with the chaplaincy program, and it's been amazing so far.
Sheriff, honestly, it couldn't have come at a better time, could it?
No.
We like to always paint the best picture that we can. And certainly there are some good things happening at the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office. But the reality is you've got a lot of struggles that you're dealing with and that your people are dealing with. And it's a good time to have some support.
You know, absolutely. I like to refer to it as, you know, everybody's got a bucket. You know, every soul has a bucket and it contains so much water, like a 5-gallon bucket. And every day, people come by and get a scoop out of our bucket for whatever reason. It's every call we answer, there's a problem. And one day you pick your bucket up and it's empty, it's dry. And unless somebody pours water back into it, you've just ran out. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the example that we need somebody to pour back into our bucket so we can pour back out to somebody else. And, you know, this is about ministering to our people, not only on the job, but off the job, their families. You know, we want their wellness and their needs to be met by somebody that's caring, that can help and bring the things to them that they need. And you know, I'm just very thankful that they said they would do it.
What kind of reception are you getting from the deputies and so on?
So far, everybody has been. Now, granted, we've only started this last Saturday night. I think was our first start, but the reception from the deputies has been amazing so far. I mean, they all think exactly like you're saying, that it's needed. I mean, we all know, even in our work environments, you're not just going to sit around with your coworkers and talk about how stressful your day is or how upset you are, or your feelings got hurt, or, well, with law enforcement, it's totally different. I was raised in a law enforcement family, and so I have a heart for those kind of guys and ladies that are doing the job and understand what they have to go through and what they bring home to their families. When I was 21, my dad committed suicide, and so I've seen the good and bad of being in a law enforcement family, and that kind of scared me away from it a little bit. And so now it's just, you know, in God's provision, it's kind of full restoration to bring me back and supporting the sheriff's department and being able to work with them, even though I'm not a deputy, but to be able to be involved in that, it's really good. But the reception's been incredible. We've already had, we've got probably 5 to 10 people currently that we're trying to bring on in the team, and so we're slowly bringing them through the rotation. But for myself, I've already had several messages outside of the ride-alongs from different deputies. One of the deputies actually showed up at church this Sunday, and I got to talk with her and spend some time with her and her family, and so far it's been really good, really good. And like you said, we're just there to support them. So we're not passing out gospel tracts, and we're not preaching. We're just developing relationships and encouraging them while we're riding along, and also looking at needs we can meet while we're making calls. I mean, they're making almost 3,000 calls a month, so those are opportunities that we can go back in where they can't on the outside. And is there food assistance that needs to happen, or counseling, or rehab, or so it's creating opportunities in our community to do what we love to do. So
I like that. That's another aspect that you bring up there, because these deputies, they need an ear to listen to them, but they also need a voice to speak for them, because they're out there on the street seeing all these things and the worst of our community, but we don't always hear it the same when we're hearing it. Well, that's your job, and I expect that from you. You guys are out there with a fresh set of eyes and ears and experiencing what they experience from a different perspective that can share that with the rest of the community.
And that's been eye-opening. I knew a little bit of it, but the Calhoun County's 600 so square miles, and I know yesterday we had 3 deputies that were on shift, and we were up on the backside of Piedmont, and we got a call of a fire at Cheehaw on Baines Gap Road, and so it's, you know, that's a 40-minute drive, and so you don't realize when people complain, well, why did it take you so long to get here, or what's happening with this or that. I mean, you're covering a lot of area, and unlike Oxford or Anniston, I mean, you're not dispatching a backup with every call, and I mean, these guys and the women are out there on their own doing the best they can and trying to serve and protect us. And so, yeah, it's been eye-opening on that part of it, to just experience what they're having to go through on a day-to-day.
All right, well, we need to take a quick break, but we want to talk some more about this when we come back. We'll be back in just a second with the second half of this week's lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, LaTarsha Chapman. Miss Chapman, last known to be living in Oxford. She's wanted for failure to pay on theft of property first. And we'd like you to meet Melissa Hall. Miss Hall, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for failure to appear on domestic violence third, harassment, and a bond revocation on criminal trespass third. And meet David Yates. Mr. Yates, last known to be living in Rainbow City. He's wanted for failure to appear on use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And take a look at Lisa Hanna. Miss Hanna, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for failure to appear on attempted burglary third. And this is Willie Curry. Mr. Curry, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to pay on use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And last up in our lineup this week, Antoine James. Mr. James, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to pay on burglary third. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you know the whereabouts of these folks, please give Crime Stoppers a call at 256-238-1414.
All right, we'll have our crazy criminal of the week in just a few minutes, and Sheriff, it's going to make your eyes bug out. This one is.
You know, I need something funny today, so so hopefully it's a good one.
It's coming up, and we'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show as well. But right now, Matt Hobson's with us talking about Project 58 and the chaplaincy program that's just gotten started at the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office, and it's a great program that I know is already bearing some fruit and is going to continue to do that. If people want to participate in this project, there is an opportunity, right?
Absolutely. It's open to everyone. This is not a church thing. This is a community-wide thing. So you can visit project58.com. That's project58.com. And on the front page, you can sign up to go on a mission trip. If your heart's for outreach, you know, internationally or locally, you can be involved in our food distributions, or if you want to participate in the chaplaincy program, it's right on the front page. That's how you kind of start the process.
You know, I talk about serving people a lot. That's kind of it's on the wall.
Yeah.
It talks about a servant's heart. You know, some people confuse that sometimes. Well, you didn't give me what I wanted, so you don't have a servant's heart. Well, that's not what that means. But, you know, serving others, putting others before you is contagious.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that if you try it and you do it, it brings such reward when you do for others. And I think most people that get in law enforcement get into it for that reason. Some call it adrenaline. Some people like adrenaline, but I think a lot of them, that feeling you get when you make that difference, when you do something, that brings great joy. And so serving others is something that is really in our hearts. It's, you know, and Project 58 is kind of the same thing. It's just a different type of ministry. But
yeah.
So Matt, if we go to the website, project58.com, and we click on the chaplaincy program, what's going to happen to us next, or with us next?
You're going to get an email that's going to tell you a little introduction about the process, and then the next day you'll get a waiver that you'll need to fill out. You'll also get an application with several questions. Then once you reply back to those and we have all of your paperwork, we schedule a sit-down interview. And then as long as you're approved and you pass everything, we schedule you for a ride along and train you how to do it. And that's just the beginning, obviously. We've got more training in depth that's happening with our ministry locally. Also some outreach that we're bringing into the Sheriff's Department to help with some extra training for the chaplains. I've been a chaplain for almost 20 years, and so it's easy for me to just jump in a car or go do something. And so I take that into consideration, and we look at people's backgrounds and what they've done. We have a lot of retired military, a lot of retired police officers that want to participate, and so that makes it a little easier of a transition. But we also have housewives, nurses that are just jumping in and just want to encourage and support the deputies. So it's open to anyone. You'll go through the same process that we all do, and then we'll get you the training you need. But the answer is yes, you can volunteer if you have a heart for it.
It means so much sometimes just to have another person to talk to. I was out this weekend with an old friend of mine, and we're out on the lake in the kayaks and having a conversation that theoretically we could have had any other time on the phone or whatever, but it just doesn't happen. When you're in that car, that deputy's driving around for hours by themselves. They can either go through all the evil thoughts that enter our minds, or if they've got somebody there to talk to and go through things, they can have a very positive experience.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and law enforcement officers hang out with other law enforcement officers. And during their shift, they're hyper vigilant. All day long, they're expecting something to happen. Normal's down here, but they're operating up here. And when they get off every day, we would hope that they go from being hyper vigilant down in that normal range. But a lot of times they don't. They'll go down below normal, have problems, they hang out with each other, gripe and moan. Having somebody that's not in law enforcement come in and go, hey, we're normal people, and we got the same kind of problems, it helps bring them up into that normal range. And you know, he's talking about his father a while ago. You know, suicide is a major player in law enforcement. Depression, we have those same feelings that other people have, and we see a lot of things that can add to it. And just having somebody that's not in law enforcement for them to talk to, I think is a big plus.
All right, well, we're out of time today, but we hope that people will go to the website, project58.com, and find out more about it. Thank you, Matt, for being here.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment with the Crime Stopper segment of the show and our Crazy Criminal of the Week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we ask you to help our investigators with the following cases. First up, on August 16th, criminal mischief activity occurred on a construction site on Brown Bridge Road. A substance was put into the tractor's fuel tank, causing thousands of dollars in repair costs. And on August 22nd, someone attempted to burglarize a home on Highway 9 in Piedmont. And on August 18th, about 4:15 in the morning, an unknown person drove onto a business's property. That business located on Hollingsworth Drive in Gadsden. A large amount of scrap steel was stolen from that location. And sometime between August 3rd and August 24th, an unknown person took a chicken pen and a folding ladder from a residence on Highway 9 in Piedmont. And on August 24th, some equipment was stolen from a location on Tom Reed Road and Reed's Mill Road in Wellington. 3 ratchet binders and a 3/8-inch heavy-duty chain were stolen from those locations. And on August 25th, a set of steps for a mobile home were stolen from a location on Amber Nunnally Road. And last up on our Crime Stoppers caseload this week, on August 27th, a handgun and currency was stolen from a home on State Farm Road. And that's it for the Crime Stoppers cases. Please, if you know any information about these cases, and we hope you do, give Crime Stoppers a call. That number, 256-238-1414. Remember, we want your information and not your name.
so stupid!
All right, our crazy criminal this week, Sheriff, is a fish seller, a seafood market that decided they wanted to make their fish look a little bit fresher. So they started putting the little googly eyes on the fish. Check it out. You know, the little plastic eyes that you put on arts and crafts.
That's just strange.
He's been shut down.
That's pretty bad.
It's creative solution because you know you look at the fish eyes, it doesn't look very appetizing. The white, you know, looks fresher, doesn't it?
It does look fresher. I give him credit.
Upon close examination, however, not quite so much. Anyway, don't represent yourself to be something that you're not, or your product.
Something's fishy about that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That is going to be all the time that we have for this week. We thank you for joining us. We'll be looking for you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.